Welcome again to our gallery here, the Calm Gallery in Basel, and I'm very pleased to work now and sit together with all three of us, three archaeologists with each one his own opinion, and we take the opportunity to show you here really complex, very important late Roman bronze. And when I bought it, we discussed it lengthily, and that's why we're presenting this gentleman in a cavalry or cloak. He's a Chlamydatus, and he is holding in both hands objects which can help to designate his function, but not really conclusively. And what we're dealing with is a quite large bronze, if you see, for that period anyhow. It's a quite sizable bronze with gilding traces, so it's very precious, and gilding has a connotation which could be imperial. And when we discussed this, we, Ulrike and Lily, you remember, I was convinced it could be an imperial portrait. Like Constantine or one of his sons, Constantius or something like that. You were a little bit more critical and of course went into the matter. And who is it in the end?
But Ulrike pointed out very well the pin.
Exactly, so if this is an emperor, you would expect a pendilia fibula. It's a special fibula type.
With three
yes,
dangling
something would hang
elements
down here, and it's clearly not the pendilia fibula.
Good.
So that would be very important.
Yes, because when we have imperial representations of the 4th century, it's always with the pendilia, correct?
It's like an insignia, yes.
But it's so tempting because you do have these traces of gilding that's almost sparkled with gold. So you have some here on the sword belt and some in the hair.
Yeah, and then you remember we discussed also here this is also very typical, but it's also typical for high-ranking officers. So it's not exclusively imperial. Also the scroll he's holding in his hand is not exclusively for the emperor, it's just also for high-ranking officials.
And it's rather for high rank, so it's more an argument for...
But, and this is a typical phenomenon we have very often, even in modern times, you associate your face or your hairdo, in this case the face, with the ruler. So here in this case, the face is very similar to Constantine imperial portraits. That's why it's so tempting to think it could be even an emperor or one of his sons, though the elements are missing. There is something I found out which is most interesting. When you look at the sword from detail, it is a one-bladed sword with a slightly curved handle, and this is typical for cavalry swords. So, because they're one-sided, they are for the overhead stroke in battle. So this is a slight indication that it is not just a normal sword, but of a cavalry unit, of someone of very high ranking. And then also the chlamys is odd. It's like a thick coat. You see with these end here, which could be even of skin. It is a leather coat, which would again speak for a high-ranking cavalry officer with very imperial features, but not being the emperor himself, as far as we know for the moment. Also, be aware he's having a shirt. He's wearing a shirt, so he's completely covered. He has a tunic, a long-sleeved tunic. Is there anything else you would like to add to this fascinating late Roman?
I think for this period, if we really think it's beginning of 4th century, the hairstyle is it's extraordinary, because you do not have such a hairstyle in that period.
It's wild.
It's totally wild, and with all the locks, and it's total out of.
So my question is he a Roman, or is he a high-ranking officer from one of the well-known cavalry units associated to the Roman army, who were not Romans? We know that the late Roman army had a lot of units which came from former tribal men going up in ranks, and eventually even becoming themselves emperor at the later
I
stage.
don't know, that's tempting, but couldn't it be more?
Yeah.
I don't know, I just think that he's sort of a dandy. He's got these heavy-lidded eyes. He's clearly trying to associate himself with power, and
Yes.
he just has quite a hairdo.
Yes,
And
but
quite some ears. They're very Prince Charles-like.
oh, please. But yes, that is correct. But as it is it's sort of semi-official at least. I mean, it's a where would you put up such a thing? And be aware, it was made like a large bronze. It's hollow cast. It has very carefully done repairs where there are casting mistakes, for example, at the lower part of the body, and the legs were separately cast and attached to it. So it's a carefully made piece where, yes, you would have portrait features, but at the same time you want to indicate informations for the viewer. And the hair is not just because you're personally a dandy, you want to tell the viewer something which he immediately understands, what we call in German archaeology Bildschiffung.
Yeah. I'm at a loss when it comes to German archaeology.
We know that, but that is fun because we discuss different schools. This is an ongoing subject in our company, that we have different backgrounds.
And that's good.
Yeah, of course. So here you have an important piece with a nice provenance, which goes back to the 80s in Baltimore, where it belonged to a collector until 91. Well, thank you for being here, and thank you for listening. If you have questions, don't hesitate.